What the hell am I doing with my life?
I fired them, took it back, and we got all of them ranking in like 3 months.
Not going to talk about that.
So if you're not there, you're late to the party.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Avery. I am covering for Allie today on this week of Roofer2Roofer. I'm the marketing manager here at ProLine, and we have our three panelists today. We have John from Steadfast Roofing, we have Carney from CR3, and Scott from Rainstoppers. So hello, you guys. We're going to be here answering some questions. Please feel free to drop any questions in the chat as we go through, and we'll be happy to go ahead and answer those. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. The first question I have here: what are the most cost-effective advertising methods for small roofing businesses?
Oh, I know what Scott's going to say right now.
Okay, we want to start.
You guys go ahead. You guys go ahead.
We just spoke this one a couple of weeks ago. I love knocking on doors. Nothing, in my opinion, yields a better return than knocking on doors and canvassing either after a storm event or during a install day. So when you're attacking the neighborhood that you're already in, I have a philosophy that is kind of an old saying: birds of a feather flock together. I figure if our ideal customer is in that community, odds are there's other people in that community that have similar income levels, similar credit scores, similar home and property type, similar age when it comes to the exteriors of their homes. So super big on canvassing. Nobody wants to do it anymore. They think they're too good for it, but by far and away, if I started over tomorrow, I'd be knocking on doors till I had bloody knuckles.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Who wants to go next? John?
I mean, knocking on doors is easily the most cost effective. And I mean, if you're a new owner just starting out, I mean, like, that's how you should get your start for sure. But other cost effective avenues, though, is just like, you can't get any more cost effective than free, you know. Getting into neighborhood Facebook groups and just, introducing yourself there and, replying whenever people are in need of a service that you could provide. And the one that I was thinking that Scott's going to actually say about those is going to be boosting posts. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
All right, well then go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I mean, so like, because to run good ad campaigns, you either need to be well-versed in creating these campaigns, which is not a simple thing to do today, understand the algorithm and things. But boosting posts is very easy to do, and you can target very well. And for our business, it's very different than like, we're not like necessarily, I mean, Carney's running a business that's across the country, but as a whole, roofing companies are not national brands that are like impulse buy things where ads, crush because they just, boom, it pops up in front of them, click buy now, it's done, it gets shipped, whatever. Like, that's not what we do. We're more neighborhood, we're more local type of business. And with boosting posts, that works very well because you can literally just target this one tiny area right where you service, not even necessarily where you service. Maybe it's, you're targeting, I call them the whales, these monster houses, the where the rich people live, right? Okay, well, let's just target that 1 mile radius. Let's just hammer that with boosted posts. But the other one that we have had a ton of success with, we've done very well with that. That is literally how I started my business. That's it. But the other way that we've had some great success that costs nothing pretty much is just leaving business cards at point of sales. So like at the gas station, at the hardware store, at anywhere there's a cash register, right? Just leaving 5 or 10 business cards. Like, I'm not making this up. It is actually pretty incredible how well that does, especially with like the older generation, because they don't want to pick up a phone and try to research a phone number. It's like, they know that they need a roof. Oh, well, hell, I'll just take that with me. And sure enough, they're calling when they get in the truck. So that's another way that's very inexpensive. It's basically a canvassing technique, but doing it, kind of shooting a little bit broader of a shot and hoping something
Yeah,
sticks.
absolutely.
It definitely works.
Okay, cool. Well, we've got a couple questions from the audience already, so that's great. We have one here from Ken. What are some easy ways to boost my SEO rankings?
Hire a marketing agency.
Fair.
I mean, there's companies that's all that they do. And I'm not a marketing expert by any means, especially when it comes to marketing. But I mean, keywords, right? Like one of the very small things that really helps is getting reviews and then replying to those reviews, but replying to them in a way that you're referencing like roofing or siding or the area, right? So those things are very important. And it seems like Google rewards the people who are very active in the review category. I'm an entire marketing agency that knows SEO because I certainly don't.
That's totally fair. It's not everyone's strength. What about you, Scott? What do you think?
So we rank like extremely well, but you got to remember, I'm in very, my competition level is not necessarily what it would be in, Tampa area or something, but we rank 1 or 2 pretty much everywhere we service. And I always say, do the basics right. So we do a handful of things. We utilize Company Cam's showcase feature to our website. So constantly our website is getting updated with new photos. Google recognizes that activity, right? So that's one thing. It's super easy to do. It takes literally like 5 minutes a day. So you can do that. We post every single day to every GMB. We make a post, just kind of like a Facebook post, basically. We add photos every day to our GMB pages. And then we respond to the reviews. Getting reviews, though, is probably the number one thing. But it's just the basics. It's get reviews and then do the basics. Other than that, I mean, I had a marketing team taking care of that for a long time, and I was not getting anywhere. And then I actually took Dima. I know John likes Dima. I don't know if Carney's messed with his business name, but Dima owns Roofing SEO School. He's fantastic. He's super smart and he's very helpful. But Dima just gave me some basics to look at, and I look at it, and none of those basics were being done by this marketing agency. I fired them, took it back, and we got all of them ranking in like 3 months. So just the basics go a long way. Reviews, do the basics.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll just chime in there. Like as far as ranking on Google and things, content is still and always to this day will be king. And the more content you have, the more laser focused keywords you have with content on your website that is based around those search terms, the more traffic you're going to see. But in regard to having an impact on the map pack, which I think is actually a little bit more important than what a lot of people consider like SEO now, is you got to treat Google like almost like a social media platform. You need to post on that thing frequently. And that includes photos and posts and updates, and let people know what's going on, and the more you can kind of do that, and the more you can kind of optimize your Google business page and things, the easier you're going to be able to find. And the more well optimized that is, the more free traffic you're going to actually receive. So,
yeah.
But 100% agree with Scott though. Dima's awesome.
Okay, well, good to know. We've got a couple more questions here from the audience. We have one here. It says, what type of content has worked well for you with boosted posts? And what were some downfalls of those, like boosting those posts and whatnot?
Yeah, so honestly, I haven't done it for a long time. I did this very early. First, like 2 years, we lived on it, on just boosted posts. And we didn't even know what we were doing. We're just literally taking like a before and after, posting that, putting $50 with it, boosting it, that, and setting the parameters a little bit, ages 30 to 60 years old and whatever. I would have to imagine, just because organic tells me that video does the best. So like any kind of tutorial, like explaining a inspection or a repair, like if you're doing a simple roof repair, explaining how to make that repair, replacing a pipe boot, something those basic to us, what are basic tasks, but to someone that knows nothing about roofing could learn a little something. If they can get an education from a 60-second video, very likely you're going to see really good traction from that. So, but I still like showcasing your work too, like not just being educational, but also showing off what you're able to accomplish. And hopefully that's, what this person might be looking for. So, I think both of those, as long as it's in a video format, I think those would do the best. But I mean, even photos do all right.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't boost posts, so I can't really chime in on that one. I do try to influence my sales reps to boost their posts just to kind of gain some traction around that job site. But yeah, not going to talk about that.
That's fair. That's fair. Carney, what do you think?
I'm with John. That was a very targeted question for Scott. So
Okay. Fair. Then there we go.
the question was for him.
Let's see. Okay, we've got another one here to Carney. With being on a larger scale with more data, are you still a believer in Google PPC?
Yeah, so I could go on a tangent about digital. Digital it's powerful. Like we need to be there. So people's attention, we're in a digital era. So if you're not there, you're late to the party. But what I've noticed over the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years specifically, is I've actually seen a trend downward on digital, just due to the fact that like the masses are there now. In 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when you were on LSA or you were running PPC ads or you were even running boosted Facebook posts, I remember times when a hailstorm would hit, I'd spend $100 on a boosted post and I get like 50 leads on Facebook. It was awesome. So now that everybody is in this digital mode and the construction industry has transitioned that way, consumers were there 25 years ago. Now construction just got here within the last 5 to 10 years. Now that the masses are here, it's just not worth what it is, supply and demand. And there's only so much supply to go around and so much attention on digital. So can it be effective? Yes. Should it be a part of your marketing strategy? Of course. I look at it as more of a validation piece than anything, where when we have our other marketing initiatives where my goal is to try and get in front of a consumer before they hit the internet. And then when we do get in front of them, whether it's giving them a proposal, selling them a project, canvassing efforts, direct mail, billboards, I don't care what it is. The internet for me is more of that validation piece. It's where our reviews are. It's where testimonials are. It's where our digital footprint is. People can look at our photo gallery and see portfolio projects and stuff like that. So it's where they go to get that validation that we are legitimate. We are a organization that you want to do business with. But my main focus and our main focus for the last 2 years, honestly, has been getting to the consumer before they get on the internet, because the second that they hit the internet and they get on Google or whatever search engine that they're on, you're now competing against the largest organizations in the United States. Not only are you competing against other contractors, but you're competing against lead aggregators. You're competing against manufacturers. So everybody's fighting for these people's attention, and there's only so much attention to go around. So should be a part of your strategy, but I say figure out how to get in front of your consumers before they hit the internet.
Yeah, that's great insight. Okay, we've got another question here. This one is from AWT Construction. It says, I see other roofers advertising in my area on Google, but they do not have an office there. What is Google doing about this? Do you guys have any insight on this one?
it's pay to play. I mean, that's just with Google Ads, it's pay to play. It really doesn't matter where you, I mean, I could literally advertise in John's Market tomorrow. Now I think most consumers are educated to that. They see that it says sponsored right next to it. They take the few seconds it takes to at least look at your website and see if there's, you actually service that area, or if you have an office there. I think the majority of consumers today are educated to a lot of that, but there's still plenty that aren't, and there's still plenty of companies that do exactly that. I know one that we compete with that does exactly that, and they do actually okay. So there's nothing you can really do about it. Outspend them. That's the only option. Outspend them.
That's fair.
So, I mean, it depends on how they're showing up in Google. I mean, are they showing up in the map pack? And if they are, I mean, I know a competitor near me, they have it linked to like some like mobile home park, which honestly, it's kind of beyond me how Google's not privy to that or caught onto that yet, because like I'm going through adding another Google business profile right now, and I'm going through like hoops to try to get like a legitimate like office added. And like, meanwhile, I have somebody in my backyard that's not really even there, just saying that they're, so, I mean, it's kind of a mystery to me, but, the best thing I can say to do is, if it's not legitimate, like try to report it. And, if you report it enough, maybe Google will do something about it, but, who knows?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just one of those things, I guess. Okay, we've got another question here. It says, what type of content should I be posting on social media to attract good prospects?
So I do a lot of social media posting like every single day. And it's not really me. I mean, it's us though. But you don't want your feed to be filled with nothing but like roofs, because end of the day, nobody cares about looking at a roof. Like they want to know about like, a customer experience or like a testimonial, or like maybe like a how-to video, or like things to watch for, something that either makes them laugh or educates them, right? If you can post content like that regularly, like you're going to start to garner up a following, and, the more people that you can kind of have liking your page, the more people can kind of advocate for you and advertise for you, that's what I would say. And that's been my strategy. And it's worked really, really well.
Yeah, definitely. Scott, Carney.
Good, Carney.
I always think about, and I mean, it depends. It depends on who's handling your marketing. Whether they're gonna, I mean, if you're doing it, then that's best case scenario. But eventually, you have to delegate. Hopefully, if you're growing your organization, so you got to make sure that you teach these individuals what you want. But I always think about, and I honestly, I think we do a good job. I think our social media looks good, but I know that we could definitely do better. I always think about Red Bull. Like Red Bull sells energy drinks, but when you go on their social media and you go to like their any feed, or you're scrolling through any type of reels, like it's entertainment. Like people are going there to be entertained. They're not going there to see that you have a roof for $99 a month. Nobody cares about that. So when we go on social media, we're there to be entertained. That's literally the only reason that we're there, or be updated on friends and family. And if I'm not your friend or family member, then I got to try and figure out how to entertain you. So just trying to put together some of that thumb stopping content. Like I actually just saw a post that went on our social media earlier today, and I didn't even know what it was. It was like replicating like these Starbucks cups that I guess are like trendy right now. Is that a thing, Avery?
I've seen some of that a little bit, yes.
Yeah, so he did like some type of cup and made comment of like, hey, don't worry about the Starbucks cups being gone, but we got you here, whatever. So just being trendy, keeping up with the things that are trendy right now on social media, and try to find ways to entertain people versus just constantly trying to solicit your services, because
Yeah.
nobody wants to see that, and sooner or later the algorithm recognizes that people aren't spending any time on your page, and then you just automatically start getting displayed less and less until nobody's seeing your stuff, and then you realize that you and one of your employees are the only two people that are liking your content.
Avery, were you a Starbucks girl or are you more of a Dunkin' girl?
Me? Oh, well, I think Dunkin's probably like better, but there are a few Starbucks drinks that are pretty fun, I will say.
I still
Seasonal ones. Let's see. Okay, we've got another one over here from the chat. It says, if you were to start over from scratch, but with your same knowledge like that you have now, would you use outside funding resources? Would you partner up? Would you franchise? What are you guys thinking on that?
If we were to start over, would you get funding, or is that the question?
The question is what path? If you have the same knowledge that you have now, but you were to start over, what path would you take? Would you try and source a partner? Would you try and franchise? Like, is there anything you would do differently?
Personally, I would take the path of least resistance, and I would not have built what I built. I would have stayed very small. Because now I'm educated in what what business is and how to generate clients and how to make profit. And like, for me, I like a lifestyle business, and I've transitioned mine to that. Like, mine today is very much a lifestyle business. I don't know why I grew it to the size I did to call it a lifestyle business, because I could have done that at $2 million in sales, but regardless, that's what I would do. I would start no help, nobody employed. I would subcontract my labor. I would be the sales guy. And then once I got it to about $2 million, I'd hand it off to a sales guy and pay him really well. And I'd kind of take a back seat and make a nice living without having to do much.
That's super, super fair.
I don't need a lot of money. So just to be clear, it's not like I'm saying I'm making $1 million doing this.
Right.
But I could make a couple $100,000 doing that. And yeah, I could live a very nice life off $200,000 a year.
For sure. John, what do you think?
I wouldn't look for outside funding. I wouldn't want to partner up with anybody like that. What's the old saying? Like, the only kind of ships that don't float are partnerships, I guess. Carney, don't hate me for saying that, man. It's okay, dude. I think you got a couple of them, but no, I don't know. I'm like really set in my ways, and I'm like, I want things done a certain sort of way, and I think all that would kind of get convoluted if I tried to bring somebody else into that. Now I do ultimately want to get to the point where like I do take a back seat to things, and I bring somebody on board that kind of runs the business, and I just kind of take a back seat and I kind of get involved with where I want to get involved, but if I were starting over fresh, I would have done things the exact same way that I did. I wouldn't rush into things faster than what I could really handle. I would start small and kind of see where things take me. And I would not do that by way of any kind of partner or any kind of outside funding source.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand that too. Carney, what's your thought?
Yeah, I was laughing real hard when Scott said that he wouldn't grow to the size that he did, because I think as a business owner, you think about that all the time. And like, I got buddies that they're just owner operators and they just do their own thing and they make more money than me. So sometimes I'm kind of envious of that. But no, I have a little bit different perspective. And it's funny because I actually wrote a book here for our franchisees. It was called If I Started Over Today, and it was how I would build a company from $0 to $10 million as fast as I could. And it gave me a chance to kind of reflect on things that I would do differently if I had the opportunity to. So that would be a boatload of technology, obviously leveraging a platform like ProLine. But I'm a huge advocate of partnerships. I always, whenever I talk about partners, I always relate to them kind of like a marriage, where we know people who have been divorced and they'll say, don't get married, it's the worst thing I ever did. And then, you know, people who have had long lasting, successful marriages and they say, best thing I ever did, I couldn't do it without my partner. And partnerships for me are really no different. Um, Usually where partnerships go wrong, and I talked about this on another episode, but usually where I see partnerships go wrong is when you have two individuals that have the same skill set, because then one of them's useless or one of them's not necessarily needed. So if you are interested in seeking out a partner, seek out somebody who has a different skill set than you, or you're going to butt heads, because you're going to say, well, I can do everything that this person's doing, or maybe vice versa. And then there's going to be disagreements. The other, I mean, you got to be built for partners too. If you're a tit for tat person, that's not going to work. Imagine being in a relationship with your spouse where you guys are keeping score all the time. That's not a fun environment to be in. So, I love partners. They help me. Anytime I've seen really big jumps in growth and revenue, it's always revolved around a partnership. And I bring people in that have other skill sets or access to people or knowledge or sometimes money that I may not have at the time. So at 31 years old, to have the opportunity to learn from people who have built billion-dollar companies and be partners with those people, to me, it's priceless. So I love partners, big advocate of it, but it's got to be the right person. To these guys' point, I wouldn't bring in funding, especially not early on. I think you're kind of giving up a lot of equity and probably wasting somebody else's money because you haven't done anything. You need to prove you're actually a good operator before you start bringing in people's money. But I love partners as long as it's the right partnership.
Yeah.
And then, of course, franchise is cool. So
yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, that makes total sense. It's interesting seeing the different perspectives. We've got another one from the audience here. It says, if you had to bet on one roofing trend or technology that will redefine the industry in the next year, what would it be? There we go. That's right.
We obviously all love ProLine. I got the hat today. Look at that.
Yeah, there we go. We're representing.
So there is actually something new I'm going to bring up. It's new, so newer. So, you know, we'll see. But a guy named Remco started a product called Subtracks. I don't do this actually, you should look into it with doing some storm work. But where the insurance model is kind of changing, he has a product, a technology that to me looks like it's going to be the future of how insurance works and how you actually make the best money off of insurance work. So I don't want to get too deep in the weeds because I don't want to act like I know a ton about it. I know enough to know that it looked really interesting, and the explanation that I got from Remco about it was really cool, and it made a ton of sense. I just am not in that business enough to speak highly educated on it. But I do think if it gets implemented by guys that do a lot of insurance work, I think it could be a great product.
Well, awesome. It looks like Remco is watching and he wants to say thank you for the shout out, Scott.
Yeah, I was reading the comment above that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I think AJ is our anonymous attendee. I texted him, but he hadn't responded.
Dude, it must have been him that was typing all those messages before, you know it.
Oh, I'm sure. Okay, we've got another question here. It says, what do we have? Okay. What are the challenges of rebranding a long-standing roofing business?
Go ahead.
I'm sure there.
I have never rebranded, and
oh yeah, well I have.
I picked a killer name to start, so I never will have the need for that.
Hey, there you go. Well, Scott, what are you thinking?
It absolutely sucks. Like there's nothing positive about it through the process. It absolutely sucks. Carney's laughing at me again. He must have got a similar experience, but it's so bad. It's such a miserable time. It's so difficult. It's so expensive. So here's what I think. We were doing I don't know. If I remember right, we were around the $5 million mark, somewhere in there when I rebranded. $5-6 million, something like that. I don't know. Not a huge company, right? Like just above small, I would say. So the cost of it was about $120,000 for us to pull it off. Like the actual hard spent money was like 120,000. I believe our opportunity cost though was about 500,000. So I believe the rebrand cost us over $500,000 is what I truly believe. So, just because there's so many people when we did it, like thought we sold, thought, some big corporation bought us out, thought all these things. And we had such a killer reputation locally. We didn't have to advertise. We didn't have to do anything. Like all I needed to do was hire more people if I wanted to grow. I just didn't really want to grow. But it was very difficult for at least a full year to really get any kind of trust back out of the community. So I mean, I can tell you in new markets, brand new markets, because when we rebranded, we dropped 2 new locations. We did more business in those locations than I did in my home location. So it wasn't the market, it wasn't the economy. It was simply we lost all brand recognition and trust in our area. So you've got to keep that in mind. It's not just the money you spend on the truck wraps, the billboards, whatever. It's opportunity cost, and it can be a lot. So I hate it. I'm happy we got it done. We're crushing again, but man, for 18 months, it was miserable.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense considering. Carney, what are you thinking?
Oh, I've had to do this for myself, and then we do this for people who join the franchise concept that are what we call a conversion, that have an existing business, and then they're going to turn into a CR3 location. So I've had to do it myself, and then we do it with other people basically every month. So I have a little bit of a unique perspective. But it's funny when we changed our name, it was for legal reasons. Like we were C3 Roofing and Remodeling. There was a C3 Roofing somewhere else in the country, and we didn't want trademark issues. So we changed to C3 American Exteriors. And then when we wanted to franchise the company, we needed to be able to have a registered trademark. Well, we couldn't trademark C3 American Exteriors, so we had to go with CR3 American Exteriors. Now it's very subtle differences, so it really wasn't that bad. But I mean, you're talking signage, truck wraps, all the different literature. It's painful, and it's not a tremendous amount of fun. And the funniest part about it all is we actually heard rumors that people in the marketplace thought we went bankrupt, and we had to open another company because we changed the name. So it was a unique experience. But we do it with franchise prospects pretty regularly. And as long as you have a good strategy, we found that there's very little revenue lost if you do it the right way. Now, most of the guys are not to the size of Scott's shop. Most of these guys are doing under $3 million in revenue. And they think that they have a lot of market share, but they actually don't. And as long as we can do it the right way, we can roll it out. We can do a press release to existing customers, let them know about this newfound partnership or relationship or why the brand is changing to the consumer's benefit. If it's done the right way over an extended period of time, we've seen very little revenue dip, because we've actually seen revenue increase once they get bolted onto our system. So I've had both good and bad, but I feel for Scott because that sounds like it sucked.
Yeah, it sounds pretty tough. Okay, we've got a question for you, Carney, here. It says, if the roles were reversed and you were under $1 million, would you accept your own franchise offer?
Let me think about that again. If I was under $1 million, would I join a franchise?
Yeah, like if you were offered, like would you take it?
Me? No, because of my personality. I'd be a terrible franchisee. I'm not looking for people like me. I'm somebody who is constantly trying to push the issue, and I would fight somebody else in my position. So I'd be a terrible franchisee. Now there's tremendous amount of benefits for somebody who doesn't want to constantly have to innovate and reinvent and push the issue on growing a business is one of the hardest things it is the hardest thing I've ever done. There's no doubt about it. And I would imagine the other two gentlemen on this call would agree that it is the hardest thing that you will ever do. Whether you're doing it with a franchise or without a franchise. I would say if you're the right person, the right fit, and you're coachable, and you can follow a system without having to try and reinvent it and put your seal of approval on it, then it could be a good fit for you. But if you're a maverick and you're somebody like me that just wants to run through every wall that you see, you'd be a terrible franchisee.
Yeah, that checks out. All right, we've got a couple more from our chat here. We have one that says, "What is the ideal overhead range being under 5 million?" Let me see if I read that right. Yeah, what is the ideal overhead range being under 5 million, assuming someone is using great tech stacks and VAs?
When we were around 5 million, we were running about 13% overhead. So I don't know if that's right, wrong, and different. And we weren't using, we were not great with technology at that time. We didn't have ProLine. We were simply using a CRM that we weren't even really using. So like we had no VAs. I believe that overhead number could have definitely been lower. If we would have been smart enough to implement some technology, and technology is better today than it was 5 years ago anyway. I mean, roofing is finally starting to get its time in the tech space and really get some great tools. So 5 years ago, we didn't have a ton to choose from. So yeah, I think 10 to 15% is, but it could go either way, I think.
I don't think there's any one answer to that question, really. I mean, what are your goals with that? I mean, if you're in growth mode, like your overhead's going to be higher because you're going to be spending a lot more on marketing. If you're just looking to kind of keep and stay at 5 million, you should be looking to kind of reel that down as much as possible, implementing new things, relying on technology more, and kind of making the most out of the customer base that you already have existing. I really don't think there's a one size fits all answer to that question.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Let's see.
We should go back to that one question now about the jujitsu thing.
Oh yeah? Who would win in a jujitsu fight out of our panelists here? I don't know.
Maybe we can view that when ProLine puts a conference on, we can all beat the shit out of each other.
Classic roofer style, I guess.
Here's how roofers make it home for dinner every single night without losing a single sale, even when they're one-man shows. Automate your communication with ProLine, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs. Your weekends will smell more like sunscreen and backyard barbecues than that crappy gas station coffee. And all you got to do is ask these roofers.
Where we had about 200% growth, and I attribute that to incorporating ProLine.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
It's been absolutely insane how quickly we were able to grow. Now, ProLine's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday. Now, back to the show.
How can we use financing options as a selling point?
How are you not?
True.
Next question. No.
Okay, fair.
Now, if anybody wants to answer that,
Go ahead.
I think one of the big reasons that people struggle with financing stuff is they don't have financial literacy themselves where they can talk about it and make it make sense. One really cool, without going on a tangent, one really cool, unique thing that you can do that we teach everybody who comes through our doors to offer is some of these plans there's no dealer fee, or it's very, very minimal to the contractor. So oftentimes we like to offer those plans on an insurance claim. because it allows us to get paid a little bit faster without having ACV checks, RCV checks and depreciation and stuff like that held up. But it's also a super unique approach because somebody can have a $20,000 insurance claim with a $2,500 deductible. And if we finance the entire thing, they can put $17,500 into their operating account or their checking account, which in this life, 99.9% of people, the only way they're going to get money like that is if they inherit it. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be the result of a death. So we have a very unique opportunity as contractors, especially when you're dealing with insurance claims, to be able to fund these. And there's no laws against funding it. As long as they pay your invoice in its entirety, it's not insurance fraud. And these guys have an opportunity to take something that's can be a very negative experience and literally make it life-changing. I mean, what could somebody on this call do with an extra 18 grand in their checking account? They could consolidate debt. They could put people through school. They could just save it for a rainy day. If they're a savvy investor, they can put it in the marketplace and get 10% on it. And hopefully the interest rate's lower than that. So I think the one thing is people lack financial literacy and don't truly understand finances themselves. So it's hard for them to sell it. But we love offering it for insurance claims because it's a great opportunity to give somebody something that they otherwise would have never had or been able to experience. And usually it's the result of a negative thing, and we make it the best thing that's ever happened to them.
Oh, Scott, you have any thoughts on this?
That was pretty well put.
Yeah,
Follow that one up. Pretty well put.
totally makes sense. Okay, we've got another one here from the chat. It says, with respect to each of your own models, what in-house, in-person roles are actually necessary versus using VAs? At what revenue point do things change?
I mean, the roles you have to have in-house, obviously sales, obviously production, things like that. I think where VAs come in to play the best for me, I like my reception to be in-house. I like to have that in-house. I like to have that as a local person. They've got to speak the same native tongue, have the same drawl, whatever, same kind of people. And they also know the lay of the land a little better, right? Like if you've lived in Parkersburg, West Virginia your whole life, what all the little podunk towns around Parkersburg are, where that's at. So that makes scheduling easier. I think VAs are great with anything that can be done. I mean, it's got to be done remotely. So things like data entry, things like marketing work, like Canva type stuff, building templates, I couldn't figure out how to put it on here. Paolo, my VA, created me a pretty sweet background. It kind of looks like John Starry's, but it's on Google Meet. I couldn't figure out how to get it on here today. But things like that, I utilize Paolo. He's my right-hand man. He takes care of my email, organizes my email for me, responds to stuff for me on my behalf. He's basically, my full-time assistant that just helps me get things accomplished. And if we have a meeting, a Zoom call with somebody about something, he always attends, and he follows up with his own notes. He follows up with making sure everything gets done. It's fantastic. So yeah, I think that kind of stuff is where a VA can be very helpful.
Are you thinking this is virtual, Scott? This is totally real. Watch, I'm going to change this light bulb.
Oh my God, it's so realistic.
Crazy, right?
Okay, let's see. We've got some more. We have one from Brandon here. He asks, how close are Roofle's instant quotes to final project costs after inspection?
So that's a
Is Roofle on here with us? Because they might not like my answer.
That's fair. We may not be able to touch on this one, Brandon. I'm not sure.
I'm going to plead the fifth on this one.
That's fair. Let's see. We've got one from Blake here.
Listen, hold on. I'll answer because I'm not going to be about
You go ahead.
Yeah, let's give him a good answer. So
Okay, you go ahead.
Avery just burning through.
Barney's headed down the like path, but you do have to kind of tweak it to get it close. But you are going to have situations. I don't care how much you tweak and bend and edit and manipulate that thing. There are going to be situations where it's not even in the ballpark. And we have experienced that. We've experienced ones that are dead on, but we've experienced ones that were literally, we had one in particular, and it was a little while ago, but it got brought to me because the homeowner was literally like pissed when we gave them their actual quote. And that doesn't happen very often. They were pissed that they thought we wasted their time. Roof will give them a quote for like 12 grand. We get out there and look at it. It's like 80 square, 10 on 12. Like this is like a $60,000 roof. You know what I mean? Like what happened was the way the picture is, it literally is like 3/4 of the house is like shaded. You can't see it. And Roofwood's imagery just didn't pick it up. And it's really the homeowner's fault because the homeowner can see that outline. They can see that the house is not completely picked up by the outline. They should have known better. I love the product. Our subscription for the year, I just got a call today, is up because we pay by the year. And I'm actually going to spend a little bit of time and dig in and see what our conversion's been on our Roofwood quotes and see if we're going to continue with them. I assume we're going to, but yeah, don't think that this is not a measurement tool. This is a lead generator. It's not a measurement tool.
Very fair. Very fair. Okay, we've got this one here from Blake, and it says, I see many 1-star reviews of roofing companies because of bad employee driving. How do you combat this? As in, like, their roofers, GPS gets them stuck, traffic gets them stuck. What would you guys think?
I'll take a 1-star review over what I've been dealing with bad driving. Like, I get lawsuits is what I get. And like, they're the stupidest thing too. Like, we got sued by a passenger of a vehicle that everybody drove away from. Like, it was literally like a little fender bender, and it was their fault. And just, what? Like, anyway, there's not really anything you're going to be able to do to avoid getting 1-star reviews aside from putting responsible people in vehicles and making sure that they sign off on a vehicle form to actually take over that company vehicle, that like, hey, like, no smoking in this thing, no driving like a butthead in this thing, follow traffic signals in this thing, don't burn through school zones in this thing, at the end of the day, I mean, people are human, and not a lot can really be done. I mean, it's not hard to rub somebody the wrong way in this day and age, and you just got to kind of reel back from it, respond to it. I mean, you can have your team kind of report it as a false review, and hopefully it goes away. And if it doesn't, people aren't going to look into that and be like, oh, these guys are horrible because they can't drive. Yeah. They're going to look at that person that left that review and be like, wow, this guy must have woke up on the wrong side of the bed or something that day.
Mm-hmm. It's fair. Carney, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Much like John, I've had plenty of totaled vehicles and accidents and tickets, and they're human. What I will tell you though is, what I have found is they do some really stupid stuff with our vehicles that I know that they'd never do with their vehicle. For instance, putting gas in a diesel truck. I don't know how anybody could possibly do that to their personal vehicle, but it happened to me twice in work vehicles, which to me is just I don't know, it's not their vehicle. So I think that we have a false expectation of how they're going to properly take care of our equipment and our stuff. And ultimately you're hiring people, and you're going to have good people, you're going to have bad people, you're going to have people who treat your stuff like it's their own and people who simply don't. So I wouldn't get overly fixated on it. It is what it is. You're going to have accidents. Just pray to God that nobody gets hurt. And yeah, I just talked to my insurance company the other day. We had a $40,000 claim because one of my guys went over a hill and had sun in his eyes and rear-ended like a Mustang or something like that. And the guy had $10,000 worth of bodily injury, which was like basically nothing but some rehabilitation type stuff. So like you're gonna deal with it. Just it is what it is, unfortunately. And if you got a 1-star review because of somebody's driving, go get 35-star reviews to make it disappear.
Yeah, totally makes sense. All right, we've got about 6 to 8 minutes, and we've got a few more questions here. So let's see if we can fly through these. We've got one here from Remco. What is one attribute that you think most roofing owners could improve on? Sales, business acumen, marketing, or something else? Is there something that you are currently learning to be better at?
Man, the thing that I hate about just what I see online is like it's always like a measuring contest with like people in our space, you know? Like, oh, you don't know how to do this and that. Like, oh, I'm a better roofer than like, dude, who cares? Like, seriously, just I bet you I could run a better business than I can install a shingle roof. You know what I mean? Like it's not about that. Like we should all be coming together online and being resources to one another and spitballing ideas off of one another and helping each other. Because end of the day, like there's so much work out there for every single last one of us. We don't need to look at each other as competitors. So, I mean, that in my opinion is the biggest thing that I'm trying to become better at. And I try not to fall victim of or even fall into.
Yeah.
Scott? Carney?
Finances.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even, and I don't understand finances, which is the funniest part. So I brought a partner in who's a CPA by trade, and like he is a CFO. So he can read an Excel sheet better than I can read a book. But if you don't have that person, you need to understand finances, because your competitor's not going to put you out of business. The president's not going to put you out. Interest rates aren't going to put you out. The market's not going to put you out. You're going to put yourself out of business. And call up ABC Supply or QXO or SRS and ask them how many delinquent accounts they have. It's like 90% of them are delinquent. So that tells you that people in our industry have they're just ignorant to their finances. They rob Peter to pay Paul. They don't truly understand where their cash is. They don't know what their AP and their AR look like. And if you're ignorant to it, it's going to be ignorant right back. But most of us get into business ownership because we're interested in growing something, not because we like to look at Excel spreadsheets. So I understand why people don't like it, but hire a really good bookkeeper, spend some time analyzing your numbers and understanding them, because if you don't, you'll put yourself out of business. It's only a matter of time until you dig your hole deep enough, and hopefully people will let you work with them. But I mean, I've seen people rack up $750,000 in debt in less than 2 years.
Definitely. Okay, let's see. Scott, anything to add before we move on to the next?
That was literally the one I was going to pick. I mean, I was going to say yeah, financing. That's why we don't take the pilots. I've always been scared to death of. It wasn't out of a thing for the customer. It was more so to save myself from myself.
Yeah.
Get in trouble with I don't take your money till I'm done. So
that's super fair. Okay, we've got one here that says, what is something that you remember in the early stages of your career that was your light bulb moment?
The day I met Scott T-Bay. Everything
fell into place.
I never had one. I don't feel like any day's ever been a light bulb moment. And that might sound like a cliche thing to say. It's every day is just a grind. You just grind. Like there's not been a, oh shit, fell in my lap. That doesn't happen. Like that's not really how business works. I've had some days that like, oh wow, like now it's starting to click. But it's because I spent the last 6 months grinding my butt off to make it work, to figure out the problems, trial and error. And then finally, 1 week just goes as smooth as silk. And you're like, okay, all the hard work I put in is good. But there was never like a one light bulb moment for me. Not that I could.
Carney, do you have any light bulb moments?
Yeah, I actually, I mean, I don't know what type of light bulb moment we're talking about here, because to Scott's point, business is chaotic. You're always in the dark. But I did have a kind of a life light bulb moment before I even started the company, which led me to actually start it, which is I was living for the weekend. I hated, I was a contractor, put a tool belt on. I was an independent contractor, swinging hammers and pounding nails, building custom homes. And I hated my job. Like, I worked for the weekend, and then the weekend came around, and I hated Monday. And I don't know, call it a come to Jesus moment or whatever you want to call it. But I actually read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It got recommended to me, and I read it, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, I got one life. I have one opportunity to do something with it. Why am I working for the weekend and then hating Monday? Like, this is kind of pathetic. So just that moment, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And ever since then, I've just looked at life and business and work in a totally different fashion. Instead of looking at it as a means to pay for bills and different things that I want, I'm looking at it as a means to achieve some type of lifestyle that I'm after. So it was just a complete mental shift from a book, and it's been that way ever since.
Absolutely. It's inspiring. Let's see. Okay. Any other thoughts before we get to our last question? Okay. Let's see. All right. Last one here from the chat. It says, how does your branding work with subcontractors on the job beyond just standard t-shirts and hoodies?
You need better questions. Go ahead, John.
That'd be an easier question to kind of show versus tell.
For yeah.
I mean, we have, like, people know when we're on a job site. I mean, aside from the crews being in shirts and, you know, a yard sign being out front, we also have yard flags at the corner of each yard. We have caution tape going the whole way around the property. We have tow boards up along the eaves where we're tearing off.
You guys always have a truck in the driveway too, John.
Yeah, I mean, we have like either a branded truck or a vehicle and stuff nearby too, you know? So, and of course the absolute best Latino playlist on Spotify that's available. Like, we're gonna hear us too.
Let's see. It looks like they're clarifying a little. It says, I guess my real question is, do you brand their vehicles as well? Like, are your subcontractors in company vehicles?
You cannot.
I'd be very careful with that. You're opening yourself up to a massive amount of liability, because then, like, are they actually a subcontractor? And then, I mean, you start getting involved with the IRS and employee classifications and workers' comp and everything. That can get very, 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 very dangerous for you. I don't know if Scott and John, you guys do this, but I think that this has saved me a shitload of money throughout the years of not having to buy so many clothes for the crew. We just get high vis vests, and we get our logos printed on the front and back of them, and they're like a one size fits all. It doesn't matter if they got a sweatshirt on, t-shirt, long sleeve, doesn't matter. They're always on brand. They always have them. I don't need to pick and choose sizes. I can bring them and I can take them right back away from them. And every single one of us has had a crew member on one of our roofs and they're wearing a competitor sweatshirt. So it helps to cover all that stuff up too. So I don't know why it took me so long to figure it out, but 2 or 3 years ago, we went to high vis vest, and that's basically all that we order now.
That's really smart. Very, very interesting method.
That is pretty smart, Carney.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. That's what I'm here for. You know, drop a little nugget.
Dude.
Well, cool. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on this last question?
I could put my guys in a company vehicle because they are W-2, but I mean,
Yeah.
don't.
Hey, that's fair. You know, there's different methods. Okay, well, then if we don't have any more questions from the audience, I believe we are gonna wrap up for the day. We're all good here. So then we will see everyone next week on Roofer to Roofer. Thank you to our 3 panelists. You guys have been great. And yeah, everyone have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Yes.
Yeah.